Belichick, early 70s, and this 24-year-old is a hot babe on top of that. Now, I think that gives him the edge over every coach in terms of the intangibles.
It's going to be used.
While Apple's looking up in the sky waiting for divine intervention, this guy's thinking as soon as this game's over, I'm getting laid by a 24-year-old hottie. Edge Belichick. And then you would have to say, whenever you did one of those things about who has the advantage, offense versus defense, you're going to see the coaching box. And what happens when Bill Belichick is going against Mario Cristobal at the University of Miami? I mean, who's going to have a giant – that would be like triple check marks. Enough to eclipse every other advantage that the Miami Hurricanes might have in that spot. I always go back to our good friend Al Bernstein and the word intriguing. I think this is a very intriguing proposition to see Belichick at North Carolina.
You bring up Cristobal because you're going to watch games and go, oh, sorry, Cristobal. See him up against, and I can't stand Belichick, but you would think X's and O's wise. He's definitely not going to have a problem kneeling.
Yes. No, he wouldn't have been handing the ball off in that spot.
And he wouldn't have kicked that field goal. Remember, he's the one that went for it on 4th and 5 from his 20 because he did the math. Like, if he has Cam Ward, he's not kicking a field goal there.
No, nobody in their right mind is kicking a field goal there. It's insane.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubie, Lubitz. And are you starting to use some Trump bronzer, or are you just getting a lot of sun? You're morphing into, and I'm not doing this by design. It's not like I'm sitting on the beach there with a sun reflector. Remember, we used to cake all kinds of shit on. Well, you weren't around then.
I never did that. Yeah,
we knew nothing about skin cancer. We never thought about it. You wanted to fry your fucking skin to, as if you were dipping a turkey into a vat of oil. And I mean, look, is there a price to pay? Yes, I've been kind of lucky with that, Lubie. Yeah. I've had my share of things cut off, and it's always. You're nervous going into the dermatologist every 6 months or every year. I am anyway, because I'm thinking I got to be a dead man walking, no, when it comes to skin cancer with all the sun I've taken in. But we used to soak up every ray of sunshine we possibly could and use every means to enhance the sun's capacity to change the color of your skin. Why is that, Louis?
I wasn't able to. I would always get burnt. So I've never been able to really...
Well, and that was the first thing. I mean, you'd go to, in my case, later on in my teenage years, Jones Beach was the place to go. Before that, I wasn't really that much of I always loved being in the sun, but I wasn't the sun worshiper that I became later on. And then you'd be there from sunrise all the way through the middle of the night, trying to extract every possible ability that the sun had to change and bronze your skin. But the first time you went out there, for like a big day at the beach, and it was 95 degrees and sunny, short in summertime. It's not like here where it's summer year round. And so you get that real first good sunshine day with the temperatures were high. And that first sunburn would just peel right off. Literally. I mean, it was like peeling the bandages off the English patient with the skin coming off your face. And we knew nothing about it, Lube. Nothing. Nobody had any warnings. I mean, it was almost as if Robert F. Kennedy was the... can you imagine? Oh, he is going to be the secretary of whatever that is, Health and Human Services.
Yeah,
how is that possible? Now they're backing off on everything, but then they're coming right back, and they're going to put Liz Cheney on trial for conducting the January 6th hearings.
I love them putting her on trial for putting people on trial. Yeah, that's American.
It's amazing. Well, it hasn't even started yet. Why is Elon Musk running the country?
Oh, because he bought.
I know, because he bought his way into this thing. But
yeah.
Well, we understand that completely, that aspect of it. But since when does some private citizen schmuck?
Well, they're not in office yet. What's annoying to me is that people are listening to them. When they get in office, listen to them. But they're not in office yet, so you don't have to do anything. And again, people who are elected, it's like this weird thing that they forget. When you're elected, there's nothing they can do. They can't get rid of you. You're elected in. So like this kowtowing to them makes it so fucking weird. It's like such a movie kind of a thing where they must have stuff on all these people so that they listen to them, because they don't have to listen to them. Like, you being president you're not a fucking tyrant. Like, people who are elected in, and there's nothing the fucking president can do about it. So it's just weird that and that happened in the state of Florida. The governor really doesn't have that much power, But somehow DeSantis became a fucking dictator, was doing shit that I never heard a governor was able to do. Governors never ruined our insurance system. Governors never
book bannings.
threw our education into the fucking toilet. Like, they only had so much power. But I guess if you really don't give a shit about the rules, you can have all the fucking power in the world. And it's like Trump. Well, Trump wants this. Who gives a shit about Trump? He's not in fucking office. I don't give a fuck. Like this stuff that, like, where the Congress, well, we're going to raise the debt ceiling for no reason because Trump wants it raised so it can make Biden look bad. Biden won't be in office, you dumbass. It's just going to make your job harder, but he never thinks about shit like that. And again, he's not in office until January 20th. So
we have a frozen Lubie there for the time being. But anyway, I mean, it's a familiar drum beat that we're putting out here. It's like the eighth notes on a rock and roll beat. There you are. You came back.
It's just weird. Like, I just don't get, until he's in office, ignore him. It's okay. Like, it's just weird that all the power that they let him wield.
Hey, this was happening before he even won the election.
I know.
All right. I don't want to get depressed here. It's like putting up hurricane shutters and no storm happens. You're hoping that's the case. But in this case, I think it's going to be well worthwhile to shield yourself from a lot of this nonsense. Anyway, so we have that clip that's been going this week with the Mario Cristobal thing versus Belichick. And I'm on a show yesterday afternoon. A guy named Gary Shaw has a show, and he invites me on when he has Dave Lamont, one of my favorite announcers, Dave Lamont.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So he's got the two of us going, and so yesterday he had some concept where he was going to come on. The host of the show wasn't going to appear at the beginning of the show, and he was going to come on as Santa Claus and have us ask for various things for Christmas. Which is the kind of show I generally, with all due respect to Gary and the concept, I hate doing those kind of things. Don't you, Libby? What would you like for Christmas? Or what are your complaints? Just like, please, enough already. Let's just shoot the shit here and have a good time. So somehow, and I hate this even more than any other aspect of broadcasting. When two guys are in a debate and one guy starts screaming, "So what would you do?" And I got into it a little bit yesterday, not by design, with Dave Lamont about Mario Cristobal.
Oh, he's like Mr. Miami, though. Like, the Miami fans are in a weird place when it comes to Cristobal, and I don't look at Luke yesterday. And Luke's a bright guy, but like, he's doing the Kane fan thing. And I look, it's like me. We were 13. FSU was 13-0 last year until the disastrous bowl that shouldn't have even been played. Like, I was so tough on FSU. Like, Canes fans do this weird thing where they either hate their team entirely or they love their team. Like, there's no middle. And you know me, I'm the opposite. Like, I can't be that fan. Like, I'm very honest about my teams. And the fact that Canes fans won't admit Cristobal, he's a bad coach. Like, there's no other way to see it at this point. Like, and even the recruiting's waning. His class was like 15th. Like, the only thing he's good at is recruiting. If he can't even recruit, what the fuck? Like, I get it. They won 10 games. You're not getting rid of the dude. But you know why they won 10 games? Like, if Cam Ward isn't here, they win 5 or 6. Like, so I'm sure Lamont did that. Well, Cristobal, the magical.
Well, his theory was this. It was based on one simple principle, that when he took over the team, they had won 5 games the previous season. So he's been here 3 years, and they had a 10-win season this past year.
Did they win 7 games? They were in a bowl the year that he took over.
Yes. Oh, okay. So maybe he was even wrong about that. Where he was using
his record and Manny Diaz's record are almost identical.
They are pretty much. It's a half game differential. We've been talking about this. That's not true. Cristobal 22-15 in his 3 years here. Diaz was 21-15. They ran Diaz out of town. Now the team had made an apparent or perceived descent under Manny Diaz, and did not appear like it was heading in the direction that any team, any franchise would hope to go in. With the exception maybe of the Marlins and some others that appear to be just fueled directly by self-sabotage and the desire to hang in there until they can be sold for an enormous amount of money and a huge profit for the owner. Just due to the natural evolution and escalation of franchise value, regardless of what sport you're in. And now even on the college level, when are you going to have like owners of college teams? I guess
they're trying. No, did you see that there's like an investment venture capitalist that wants to buy a program?
Yes. And you know what? We've been advocating this for like the past 30, 40 years. Just declare the sport a separate entity, these college franchises, and say, hey, look, they're pro franchises, and conduct business separate from the whole idea of academics and the school and all of this other bullshit that they were trying to create this facade and the so-called cloak of amateurism. It's all crap. Remember, we used to. I mean, who wants to get in a big argument with Tony Segreto?
Nah,
Too nice of a guy to want to be yelling your point of view and trying to drill him with, "Oh well, I'm right about this and you're wrong, Tony." But in
exactly.
this case, he was flat out wrong. It just
Oh yeah.
the idea that a scholarship was just compensation for players and they weren't attending classes or necessarily. I mean, some guys were taking advantage of it, and that's great. That's
Football,
fantastic.
yeah,
That
football.
was the original principle, but that was before you had zillions of dollars in marketing and television money coming in.
Yes.
I mean, the industry went from maybe a few teams were making money to, and maybe as a conference or whatever, overall they were making some capital
Yeah.
to billions of dollars.
Yes.
So the inequity was too much of a divide. You're looking at players getting nothing, and they're the reason that you're tuning into the games. Do people tune in to watch Mario Cristobal coach? No,
No.
nor should they. For that,
Especially not him. Yeah.
so Lamont's contention was, and I have nothing but mad respect for Dave Lamont. I think he's a great announcer, and they always have been. He got fucked by ESPN. That whole Maria Taylor thing. I don't know if that led to him not doing games because one of our other good friends, John Congemi, also got boned around the same time where he went from being one of the more respected analysts because he wasn't a screamer and he wasn't constantly talking through plays that were of little significance and trying to make it sound like I was watching. And I actually think this guy does a good job on this sort of thing because he's animated and he seems to really have a feeling for the illustration. Dan Orlovsky, who's become a big star at ESPN, and he was on like Inside the NFL or something with a couple of ex-players.
Yeah.
And he was going through all of this analysis about some kind of running play where they're showing the blocking schemes and this and that. And you're thinking a lot of times it's just totally fucked up, right? The play is designed to go inside. A guy ends up bouncing off a tackle, goes outside.
Yes.
And those are the plays that are often successful. And while there is, you're looking at it going, how much – Andy had the theory that you know everything you need to know about these games by the time you're like 11 years old, right? And what changes really? If you played any football, you have a good idea if you're going out for a pass pattern, how to get open or how to defend it. I don't know. Are we really learning anything of great significance, of great depth, Lubie, by watching all of this analysis that goes on? Or is it just paralysis by analysis? What do you think?
I mean, I think I don't learn much. I like when they talk about like, well, in this situation we would run this, and and then it goes into a story about I remember this time. Like I like that stuff when they do the you need to put in this formation, and then it's like you can say that, but
a seal over here and a seal over here. It's that old Lombardi clip, right? And the guy's got a fucking chalkboard. That's pretty much it. I mean, football. It's. I don't think it's as sophisticated as people would want us to believe. Do you, Lubie? It's a lot of guys crashing into each other, and the faster guy, the stronger guy usually wins, no?
Probably, yes.
You have the better passer, you're more likely to complete a pass under any circumstances than you are when you get into all of this shit about, you high-pointed the ball there, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. Just tell me you caught it, all right? So anyway, Dave's theory was largely based on the ascent in terms of number of wins. Now, he didn't mention anything about the pathetically weak schedule the Hurricanes played. The fact that in several of their games, they appear to be badly unprepared at the start of games. Now you could counter that and say, well, geez, Mario made the adjustments. How the fuck are you trailing by 25 against California?
No.
I don't care that the game was on the road. I mean, this should have been blowout city. And they were very, very fortunate to win that game. That would have been an ugly loss. And we saw several other occasions where they were either challenged early by completely inferior competition, like South Florida. And for my money, I mean, anytime I was evaluating what's going on, coming out of the chute, is that not an important element where, they always talk about, these coaches script the first 15 plays. And I'm not sure that that's really a great practice. I don't know if everybody subscribes to that theory anymore. But, you want to see how a team is prepared to come out there. If you're getting shellacked early in a ball game, in my estimation, that's a lack of preparation on the part of the coaching staff, no? And his theory was, the coaches don't play. It's all on the players. And yes, of course, if your quarterback underthrows a guy who's wide open and it turns into an interception, is that necessarily the coach's problem?
Obviously not.
No. And he also gave me some of the standard cliches, which were hey, well, all the coach can do is put his players in a position to win.
Bingo.
Right. But don't put them in a position to lose. Yes.
That's the point.
Yes, exactly.
You are right. That's what a coach should. All a coach can do or should do is put their players in a position to win.
Yes.
Not put their players in a position to fight off their fucking coach every goddamn game because he's a moron.
Yes,
Thank you, Dave. I agree with you. Okay, and I agree with Luke. That's a problem when you do that. Well, everyone blames the coach. Are you listening to yourself? I agree with you. You shouldn't always blame the coach. But when do you blame?
As you said, as more of a fan, I mean, in Dave's case, this guy has been a top analyst of sports for a long time.
But they all have the same mentality. Either he worked for the Canes or he went he's very.
Oh, he was a Canes play-by-play voice, and probably, I mean, with all due respect to the great Joe Zagacki, probably still should be.
So he has some soft because he defends the Canes a lot, and it's like.
Well, he's defending Cristobal more in this case, and he, kind of sarcastically said to me, "Well, you want to bring back Manny Diaz?" I never said that.
No, but Diaz wasn't any. The point is, you didn't upgrade. Yes, there's the pendulum, right? You started your seasons were worse with Cristobal. Diaz always had like 7-8 wins, and he just had that one stretch. The Diaz problem was he lost to FIU, and he got annihilated by
horrendous losses. As Cristobal easily could have on his resume from this 10-2 season alone.
And that's the thing is until this year, Cristobal had the same fucking losses.
Yeah.
And this year, he almost had those losses. He just had a quarterback who was really good at pulling shit out of his ass.
Vastly superior talent, yes.
And that was it. Like, it wasn't his coaching. His coaching got in the way. Again, they were up 21-0 for Syracuse. How do you get – and Syracuse has no defense, and you have a good offense. How do you let them back in that game? Like, to me, that screams like, again, it's not that the coach is at fault all the time. I run to blame the coach. That's 100% accurate. You shouldn't always blame the coach.
You know me. I'm not one of these guys that jumps on the, hey, we got to fire this guy right away because he lost one game. I mean, that's irresponsible reporting also, no? And that's more like fan knee-jerk reaction. So, I mean, even in Norvell's case, I don't – he really, off that one season 2 years ago, he deserves another chance to see what he can do.
And that's fine.
He's improved his coordinators. Maybe that'll work. He just made a bad mistake, unfortunately, at the quarterback position, and maybe we overestimated what talent he had around the ukulele kid.
Yeah,
but that being said, I mean, and my theory was just this: that coaches that are responsible for just egregious, outrageously dumb fucking decision making, game management, clock management. This is your job. It's to prepare players, maybe see some improvement in certain players. You could take a look. I was watching a little bit of the Michigan game yesterday as Michigan was taking on Oklahoma in basketball. And Dusty May, of course, I see him on the sidelines there, and I'm thinking, how's Dusty doing with Michigan? So he took an 8-2 Michigan team, favored by 3.5, against an undefeated Oklahoma team.
Yeah, that's a tough beat. They had a tough beat.
They lost a very tough game, but I noticed that he had that Golden kid from FAU, the big Lurch-like looking guy.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, that this is something that you would attribute to the idea that this guy must be a pretty good coach or whoever was working with him, because Golden was a gigantic robot-like stiff.
The clod. Yeah, he was a clod.
Yes. He looked like Jaja Pachula in the NBA, just a big, plodding stiff. And he improved to be a very, very effective and impactful player. Footwork got a lot better. His agility got a lot better. So you're thinking, okay, that's part of being a good coach. Take a player who wasn't all that good, who was a raw talent, and turn him into something that you can absolutely not only count on to be consistently good, but maybe even be a game-changing difference maker in a lot of spots. And that happened with that guy Golden, certainly at FAU. Yeah. I haven't really followed him so much. I didn't even know he went with Dusty May to Michigan, but it makes sense.
Yeah, a couple of them.
So, I mean, that's something that you can say, hey, good coaching. In Cristobal's case, I don't know that we can look at anybody in particular and say, wow, that guy got a hell of a lot better under Mario.
Oh, it's actually the opposite. Like, that's the people who are, it's funny.
He had a Heisman Van Dyke, right? What's the guy's name?
Van Dyke was a Heisman candidate.
He turned to shit under Cristobal.
He ruined him. He was a guy that, and I thought the Heisman candidate stuff was a little bit much.
Maybe
but
so.
The kid had, but the kid had raw potential that, okay, maybe that was the idea, right? He should grow into that. not be benched. And now he's transferring a second time. He transferred to Wisconsin. Now he's transferring from Wisconsin. Like, Cristobal is actually,
maybe that's just him. It wasn't as good as people anticipated. But yeah, Dave's case was that Cristobal took the team from a 5-win team or whatever you're saying, a 7-win team, and turned them into a 10-win team. Or they had 5 wins in his first year. That's what it was. It wasn't that Diaz had 5 wins. So maybe even that is another.
He had 7 wins, and then they lost in the bowl game to fucking Rutgers, who wasn't even good.
But and Diaz got fired though before the bowl game. That was a pinstripe, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm talking about.
Oh no, Cristobal lost the pinstripe.
I'm talking about Cristobal last year.
Diaz was 0-2 in bowl games. Yeah.
So like that. Look, I'm not saying they should have kept Diaz. It's fine, whatever. I think they were rushed to hire Diaz, but the idea that you went out to get Cristobal, who was at a big program, having a lot of success. He was a Miami kid.
It was a major hire.
A guy that no one thought you could get, including myself. You brought him here. You then paid him at the time. Now everyone's making that money, but at the time it was like 3rd or 4th head coach in the country money. And yes, you won 10 games. But again, you won 10 games in 2017 with Mark Richt. What happened? You started 10-0. You then lost the next 3 games, including a bowl game where you got fucking annihilated by an average Wisconsin team.
Yes.
What's happening this year? The last 2 months, you flirted with every fucking team disaster. You then finally do lose 2 out of the last 3 games. And you're now set up to play a bowl game with a team who's vastly better than you. What's going to happen in that bowl? You're probably going to fucking lose. So what's different between 2024 and 2017? And the 2 years you won 10 games, in the last 22 years, you're going to finish with a fucking whimper. So
yes.
That's my problem with the Cristobal stuff. It's not that he's
not completely horrible at the job, but my theory was just this: that coaches that make mistakes like Matt Eberfluss, which he immediately was fired after that debacle that he had. Now, I mean, all signs were leading to the notion that he was not going to return as the Bears head coach no matter what happened the rest of the season. But you can't bungle time management and clock management like that and being given credit for being some kind of a great coach. And in Cristobal's case, and Jim Sarney's wondering when will the Cristobal roast end. This is just to illustrate a point that some of these sports arguments are pretty bizarre.
I'm
surprised because Dave's hammering me on this thing. And then he's saying, "Well, let's turn the page here." I'm like, I'm not the one that's persisting with a ridiculous argument. My contention was that when coaches make just blatant bonehead errors, unless, we saw this with Eric Spoelstra when he calls a timeout that he doesn't have. Holy Chris fucking Weber, right? I mean, what are we looking at there? Yeah. But Spoelstra's overall body of work is so overwhelmingly favorable.
Yes.
That, I mean, for him to make a blunder like that, it's so out of character that it's an even bigger shock. With Mario and the field goal at the end of the Syracuse game, or towards the end of the Syracuse game,
and he does these things. That's
victory formation. You're handing the ball off. I mean, it's this thing, that people that were against the forward pass, like Ben Schwartzwalder used to say, well, if you throw the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. I mean, you can't believe that and still think that you're going to be a contemporary, modern, valuable coach. You're going to have to take chances on certain things, but the last thing you want to do in that spot was take a chance on anything.
It's not all on the coach, and I get it, and I run to blame the coach too much, and you don't. But it's okay when there's a trend that's been set to acknowledge it. And I don't understand.
When you're making blatant errors consistently, then I just think that that's a knock on a coach that can't be overcome or excused away. You could say all you want, it's on the players or whatever, but when you're doing things that are so ridiculously stupid, we were talking about that Dillingham thing with Arizona State. And who are they playing? BYU, right? And they're for the conference championship, a chance to go to the CFP. And this guy decides, I'm going to get cute here in the last minute of the game and nearly loses a fucking ball game straight up.
Yeah, overthought it.
That's bad coaching. It just is.
It is.
And it came up again because, surprisingly, I was in the postscript of that Jets victory over Jacksonville. I'm reading that Ulbrich made the dumbest coaching move that you could possibly make by not taking a knee 3 times and kicking a field goal at the end of that Jet game against Jacksonville, which they ended up winning by 7 points. And you know my thought on that. Knock the fucking ball into the end zone right now.
Yes.
And don't rely on a bad snap from your long snapper, a possible block. A guy hits a line drive kick, misses it, and now you find yourself in overtime. You're sitting there at the 1 yard line. Just win the game. Go Herm Edwards. Just go out there and win the game. Because decisive plays in games don't always come at the very end. We know that, and that's part of it too. So yeah, I can't excuse away. He was saying that I had to let go of the Georgia Tech game from a year ago. I can't let that go.
No,
That's inexcusable stupidity.
You were starting to. You were starting to let go because even people like me were like, look, people do like Norvell early in his days did some stupid shit. And it was never that stupid. That's just dumb, but stupid shit. But again, they won 13 games. So you sort of let it go, right? So they had won 10 games. You were letting it go. But then stuff started to creep up in games. And that's the problem. If a guy shows you who he is, you can't ignore it. It's there.
Yeah. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, geez. I mean, he won 10 games with a massive advantage in talent in most of these contests.
Yes, they had a horribly easy schedule.
And you're watching the beginning of games, the first half of games, and the team's getting annihilated by teams that are vastly inferior. I don't know. I can't give the guy credit for being a great coach based on that. And then certainly Manny Diaz was operating under different circumstances. When did NIL really kick in, Lubie? When did that happen?
That the end of Diaz, the beginning of Cristobal, like
okay.
3 years ago. Remember, NIL was there, but it
wasn't like this.
Dion went all in with Travis Hunter, and he denied it, but he did, and that was the sign to coaches. Oh, fuck it! And then remember the A&M, the year that Jimbo had that class where they had like 8 5-stars, and Saban, and because Georgia and Bama and all these schools have done it, we know it, but there's sort of rules and there's sort of like an understanding. And even the beginning of NIL was supposed to be name, image, and likeness. It was supposed to be companies paying kids.
Do you ever see any of these guys doing ads?
Okay. Oh, that's the problem. Is it's actually the opposite. It's nothing about advertising
for a play.
It's just being paid when they're not supposed to be paid. And like
they always have to go with some cockamamie disguise, fugazi thing, just to say what it is. It's professional sports. A guy signs a contract. It may be contingent, this money on him playing in a bowl game. It may not be. And so you're literally signing a kid to a contract, and they never. Have you seen Cam Ward in any commercials for local car dealerships or anything?
He just got paid.
I saw Restrepo in one recently. Yeah. But anyway, this wasn't meant to be a crucifixion of Mario Cristobal so much. It's just that it's a classic example of people looking at a coach, and I have a simple theory, and that is if a guy is guilty of consistently making moves that startle you with how dumb they appear to be. I think Matt LaFleur has distinguished himself as a good coach, but okay, so maybe you can get over the fact that I don't know, that was so stupid when he.
It was one time. Again, he hasn't done it since. Look, it's like looking at Dan Campbell, right? Dan Campbell's team's winning; they're doing a good job. But this going for fourth down thing,
it's going to come back and
work. Yeah, that's fine. But here's the deal: when it doesn't work, it's sensible to criticize him because he does it every fucking time. And he does it in times that make no sense. Like he does it at times where the risk does not outweigh the reward. Like if he just did the simple play, he would win the same way he won with the risk. So why take the risk? But it's fine. He can keep doing it. But if it fails, when like it did in the fucking playoffs,
yes,
at some point people are going to go, okay, dude.
Cost them a Super Bowl opportunity.
Exactly. So you're allowed to do what you do, but we're allowed to criticize you when it becomes a goddamn trend.
Well, and the other thing that's happening with all the evolution of gambling and its infusion into virtually every aspect of every game, you have coaches that are making decisions that you look at and you're startled where they abdicate. Mike McDaniel is guilty of this or has been, where you don't want to go Tony Sperano necessarily, but when you fail to take 3 points that are a virtual certainty, that are a 95% chance of getting on your side of the scoreboard, and you instead fail on a fourth down try, regardless of the position on the field, but you're well within field goal range, and it's early in the ball game. Those 3 points in games in the NFL that are often decided by one score. How many? I mean, out of the number of games that are played, how many of them come down to 7 points or less? Almost all of them. So when you leave 3 points off the scoreboard there early in a ball game, and you see the dynamic of the game changes completely.
Yep.
That's on the coach, my friend. Never mind your analytics and your sabermetrics and your calculus and all of this other shit, trigonometry. All right, we're going to have the trivia challenge. We will for your trivia players. There was a lot of good stuff going on last night. That game was very exciting. The Dusty May, Michigan, Oklahoma game came down to
Yeah, like a 4-point play won it, right? I think a 4-point play.
That could be. And then you also had UConn going into overtime with Xavier last night, and that was kind of a surprise. The other thing, too, I wanted to make note of it. Doug Gottlieb became the talk show host, who was probably the most overrated, talent to job and delivery. I don't know. He's one of those guys. Look, we did this forever, and not all of our shows were brilliant, Lubie. I'm sure you would be more than willing to confess and admit to that. But in general, you get the impression from the aftermath of our radio talk shows that we must have been doing something right. Just by three years after the fact, I still get a million people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, whoa, Jesus Christ, I love that show," from all different demographics and walks of life. So it's a little bit heartening. And then you're asking yourself, well, how do they have some of these stiffs that are out there today that are still doing shows, of which Doug Gottlieb to me was one. How he had a network job. What was beyond my comprehension. The show was as boring from beginning to end as any I ever listened to. And this was with every asset. I mean, he was working for what? CBS Radio and West
Virginia, CBS, and
network organizations. They got 20 producers. They don't have Lubie running around trying to, plug in some Comrex into a socket that is not generating any electricity. I mean, we dealt with a lot of adverse situations, including a program director that hated us. She liked you personally. She did not care for me.
She didn't like what we did. She was not a fan of what we did. That is 100%.
I don't know what she would have wanted us to do because
I don't know.
What we were doing was fine. I mean, it was way in advance of what anybody else was doing here in the market. That's for sure. So, but Gottlieb was horrible, and now he's coaching Wisconsin Green Bay. They're 2-11. He's a first-year basketball coach, 2-11, and they lose last night to some schmink team that is like a Division II team that earlier in the week he had said, Gottlieb had said at a press conference, and maybe this goes back to his talk show days, he was trying to strike a chord or something, but he called the upcoming opponent, Nobody You.
Yeah, that's good for you.
And they went out and beat the snot out of him. Well, they won a close game, but still, I mean, this guy, talent to job, and now even as a coach. So some people just have all the luck. The stars just align for him. All right, speaking of which, one of those guys is Dave Gurggles Gergely. Enough of this coaching rap here. There he is, Dave Gurggles Gergely. How are you, my friend?
Doing fine. And it's funny you mentioned that. It must be 3 or 4 years ago, Paulie and I had a conversation, and Doug Gottlieb came up, and we go, how's this guy doing a show? we shared just like you. His delivery, everything about his show. I look forward to the guys doing the updates. They're more excited.
Yeah. Just a little bit of infusion of excitement and energy.
Oh my God.
He would come on, it was kind of like, the latter days of Hank Goldberg, where Hank would have like some, I forget which Rolling Stones song, it was like Jumpin' Jack Flash is playing and all of this excitement. And he got crowd, calls from great games with the crowd going nuts, Bobby Thompson home run. And then Hank would come on and go, we're here. What a drop off in pace, my God. And I loved Hank, but, the latter years there were a little bit, I hope I don't morph into that or haven't already. All right, we got the trivia challenge coming up with Dave Gurggles Gergely. I'm going to get into that. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. Lubie's got a Landlubber's gift certificate. That's a nice stocking stuffer. Maybe I can get one of those from you, and I'll send it to that newspaper delivery guy who's yet to show up today. Lubie, as I've called now for the 23rd consecutive day to say, hey, where's my paper? But we'll have that available for you. So jump on board if you want to play, 954-417-0070. And we'll be back with Dave Gurggles Gergely and the Trivia Challenge in a moment. Now that.
The time.
I don't even enjoy that crystal ball talk anymore. You, Lubie? It's like, what more can
No. I think I thought we had answers. People that the reason we go into is when people are like, what do you mean crystal ball is not a good coach? We're like, what?
Dave, I'm telling you, I love Dave. We used to play basketball together and do all kinds of stuff. He's still announcing Highlight Dania and have a lot in common. He's got the degenerate gene, and I really did think he was great on TV doing play-by-play on football. I don't know if you got to do basketball, but I'm assuming
he did basketball. He was really good at all of it. Yep.
Very good play-by-play announcer, always solid as a rock, and didn't overwhelm people by making himself the story. He was great voice too, and I was surprised. I mean, he just kept giving it to me about Mario Cristobal, and I thought,
He's worried about the Canes. He's a coach apologist because he covered the sport for so long. A lot of the times, it's like people in the game hate talking shit about coaches. Like Lamont's sort of like that.
Maybe so. Yeah, he didn't have anything favorable to say about Manny Diaz. Never even mentioned that he did a great job at Duke.
He's fun. When he was there, he was doing the same thing. Because I used to fight with him about Manny Diaz.
Oh yeah, okay. All right. Back with Dave and the trivia challenge in a moment. Now that
The time.
There you go. There's Johnny, man, a signature thing. It's 8:36.
Break.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. Make the right choice for your home. Call Choice Mortgage today.
We hand them all to one Dave.
It was the Thursday before Christmas, just a little before 8. No longer on radio, but this YouTube thing could be great. We're live with Lubie and Defo and their Hanukkah menorah, and me at the golf course with people yelling, Bora! While callers line up to use the phone line, just one, alas, the Hialeah Trivia Challenge still is great fun. The questions are all asked with great glee by Gurggles, the evil seed, who hope no one scores a total more than 3. With hopes that the show will draw folks from near and far, one thing is for sure, you certainly can't beat a Perdomo cigar. All the best to Leslie Visser from BC and the Duke who went to Harvard or Yale. We're proud to know 2 folks who we can call if we need bail. The guys each give their ideal gifts just for fun. For Defo, it's Luca Panici in a back wheel at 50-1. To Lubie, who works hard every single day, another trip with his wife Shirley to Hawaii so he can get a lay. Now it's time to end this tale and get on to the show. So let's hear from the red-suited man with his constant ho-ho-ho. On Ron, on Andy, on Pat, Mike, and Lenny the Chronic, whose many certificates make Alex Dufresne switch from coffee to doubles of gin and tonic. Merry Christmas from Defo, Lubie, and Gurggles to all of you all. And for the new year, Paulie Man, our favorite, how about a little easy baseball?
That's brilliant, man.
That was amazing. Good job.
That might have been your best one.
That was great.
I know there have been others that we
I
said,
love it.
because at
That
the
was so
time, right,
great.
you're only as good as your last film. But that was tremendous, Gurggles.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
You're always great with that stuff, Dave Gurggles Gergely. Although the one at that footy event, I don't know. Remember that one? Yeah, you got up there and the
Wing
people
game. Was it-
they already were, past the point where they were paying any attention to anything. It's always great when you're looking around a room and, I had this happen to me a couple of times when I was MC and stuff. And I was like, oh, shit, man, I'm bombing here. These guys they have no idea who I am, but they're thinking beyond that, like, who is this clown? All right. Yeah, always, and then you got to scramble on your feet. You were great, though, at the footy event that he had the last thing when they were dedicating whatever that was.
For Leslie Visser, yeah.
Visserman was great.
Oh man, you were fucking great on that, Dave. Brilliant MC, Dave Gurggles Gergely. If you need an MC, I would recommend him 1,000%. All right, let's get into it because we kind of schlubbered on there a little bit too much. that was making 40 minutes out of nothing that transpired. That's how we work in this business. So here we go. Trivia challenge. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. Get into it in the traditional fashion, somewhat traditional fashion, because we don't have the Polyman with us, but we've got Dave and some.
Easy baseball. This player turned announcer on his frequent miscues once said, "There's someone warming up in the bullpen, but I can't tell who he is because he's obscured by his number." What was that? Jerry Coleman, Choo Choo Coleman, Gary Coleman, or Gary Owens?
King of the malaprops, Jerry Coleman. All right, the Scrambler lands on Lenny the Chronic to start us out. Starting right out at the top here. Chronic, the all-time winningest.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
Happy Hanukkah,
holiday.
sir.
How you feeling, Lenny? I see you've been going through some treatments. Looks like they're working, huh?
Yeah, I seem to feel a little better this morning, so
good.
Got to get on that leg. Got to get that leg better so I can chase Gurggles down.
Very nice.
Good, and I want to apologize to Lenny and the Chronics. I showed up last week and they won. Boy, was I disappointed.
Yeah, you let us all down.
You were strictly there to bury them.
He was a choir boy. He knew it from his choir boy days. Oh, the choir boy?
No, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
All right, you have one, Lenny, and you're going for two here, and this is usually a major stumbling block for you, the true-false question.
Yeah.
All right, Lenny, hoops, true or false? A new entry into the Guinness Book of Records is the most consecutive free throws made by a legally blind person. 84 straight by 34-year-old Dave Rosenkrantz of Long Island, New York. True or false?
I'm going to say true.
He gave a name.
No, that's a guy that bets with me at the racetrack.
That's again, 84.
Oh, wow. You got me. I'm like, it's
Blind guy?
Shut up, boy, Lenny.
I believe it.
Every time.
All right, nice job there, Lenny. You have one, of course, going for four.
All right, Lenny.
We should skip the true-false question. I guess it's every time.
Just throw it away.
Especially
All right,
on
Lenny, NBA. The Milwaukee Bucks, who won the prestigious Emirates, I think it just goes right up there with the Dixie Cup.
Yeah.
Started in Milwaukee in 1968. However, the NBA had a team in Milwaukee that ended in 1955. Before that, what was the name of that team? Was it the Stags, the Robins, the Hawks, or the Brewers?
Can you repeat that?
Sure.
Teams.
Bucks franchise started in 1968, but before that, Milwaukee had a team in the NBA that ended in 1955 in Milwaukee. What was the name of that team? The Stags, the Robins, the Hawks, or the Brewers?
Then I'm going to go with the Hawks.
Hawks.
Right.
It was?
They moved to St. Louis. Very good.
Oh, good job, Lenny. Sniffing that out. 4 going for 9.
All right, Lenny, we got to go to your specialty, hockey.
Yeah.
Since 2008, this was the first team to win the Winter Classic with a goal in overtime. First NHL team to win with a goal in overtime since 2008. Was that the Flyers, the Bruins, the Oilers, or the Leafs?
Go with the Oilers.
Oilers.
No, it was played in Fenway Park, and Marcus Stern scored for the Bruins to beat the Flyers 2-1 in overtime.
Anybody?
All
right, Lenny, 4 points as you set in a very tepid pace here, as it's almost like the first quarter of the Pegasus Cup. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Dave Gurggles Gergely, no doubt. I like that. Let there be light, my friend. No doubt would be thinking, I mean, how many boxes of Perdomos and or individual cigars will you be passing around?
Wow, yeah. I mean, this is the perfect gift. You get up every day, you watch one of the morning shows, and they tell you, well, it's too late to send something priority to, you got to send it FedEx one day. And just go to Perdomo Cigars, 5150 Northwest 167th Street. Go in, buy a box for your favorite person, buy a variety pack, buy a lighter, a humidor, or just get a gift card. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call them, 305-627-6700, or go online, perdomocigars.com. It's the perfect gift to light up your Christmas or Hanukkah holiday.
Very nice. All right, 954-417-0070. Lenny has 4 points. He's setting the pace right now. Lubie's setting up our next player here, Dave Gurggles Gergely, of course, with the questions. Polyman doing very well, by the way.
I've heard that, but big game tomorrow night for me. It's the end of a 3-teamer. I need the Florida Gators, which God bless us, over Tulane. I think the number was 14, and I think I teased it to 7. So
we're
have
talking
Navy plus 21, South Dakota State minus 7, and then Florida, I think, is it 14?
I don't have the line in front of me here because
bowl game? Oh, in the bowl game. Yeah, I'll give you that.
The college bowl game.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh, here you go. Which bowl is this? Do we know? I have it.
I don't know. It's Florida versus Tulane.
Florida and Tulane. It's right here. Florida is laying 11 and a hook.
There you go.
Here. So here it's 11 and a hook. Now, if you got it a while ago, it may have been
when
less.
I bet it was probably 14. So I got it down to 7.
Okay.
Good for you.
All right. So we'll see.
Playing good ball right now. And what do you cash on that? A 3-element parlay?
I think I bet 40 and I get 80 back. So it's not a big deal.
All right.
We'll come in handy.
Let's do it. Next set of questions here. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
And speaking of college football, this commentator on a defensive-minded Penn State football team said, geez, Penn State had less firepower than Sweden did in World War II. What's that? The late, great Beano Cook, Greg Cook, Captain Cook, or Short Order Cook?
Beano was great with those war references.
He was.
Yeah, he really was. Who was that? Bert Sugar used to always tell that joke, too. He said, the last time I picked a winner was World War II. I had the Allies in World War II. Mike, you're on the trivia challenge. Hello, Mike. I think I blew that line, but he was saying that he had the Germans and the points. Mike, you're on the trivia challenge. You have 1 point. You're in the game, regardless of answer. Here we go.
All right, Mike, baseball, true or false? Pee Wee Reese of the Brooklyn Dodgers got his nickname for what he called his shooter marble when he was playing marbles as a child. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
False?
No,
it's
that's true.
Did you shoot marbles in Allentown?
I did, yeah. We had Puries and Cat's Eyes and everything, yeah.
The solid marbles were very, very
Yeah.
cool. I love those. And it was a great form of gambling, and you would come home
The
so full of
Puries were
schmutz.
the ones you wanted, the ones that were just nothing inside of them.
I was emceeing this basketball thing last week or a week ago. I guess it was about a week ago. Rolando Blackman was talking about how when he came from his native country to New York, he could not believe that the only nature what was like a tree that was in a little piece of dirt that was carved inside the sidewalk there. But we used to be all over that. That's where we shot marbles. And you would come home. My mother was always appalled. She's like, "What the fuck were you doing? Did you get run over by a car?" No, we're shooting marbles here. Look, I got a whole fucking bag. It was great. All right, 1 going for 4, right?
Yep.
Missed that one.
All right, NBA, Mike. Which team has the most Christmas Day losses in NBA history? The 76ers, the Pistons, the Lakers, or the Knicks?
Lakers.
I'm going to go Knicks.
The Knicks, 24 and 32 all time.
Wow, such ugliness. 1 going for 6. Mike, to put you in the lead.
All right, NFL. Who was the first unanimous MVP in NFL history?
All right.
League MVP. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, or Peyton Manning?
Wasn't Jim Brown?
Peyton Manning.
Manning.
No, but we wish you a Merry Christmas. It was Lamar Jackson.
All right. Well, sorry, Mike. Bombs away.
Sorry, Mike. All right. You never know. You're not completely out of it yet. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070 if you'd like to play the game. We have Lenny the Chronic in the lead. And this is one of those games where nobody's really coming up big. Lenny with 4 points, easily eclipsable total. Mike bombs out and ends up with just the 1 point. So that was very unusual. Normally a very, very strong player.
And you remember the days when Calder used to be open on Christmas Day.
Yes, the Christmas Day handicap.
Christmas Day handicap. You'd get the racing form and whatever it would cost back then. And there were 2 tracks, Calder, and you remember the other one?
Turf Paradise.
Agua Caliente.
One of my favorites. I've been there.
Have you really?
Yes,
Wow.
Agua Caliente. Of course, when we were out in L.A., when I was out there, we had to schlep down to Agua Caliente. And I do remember a horse there named King's Bishop that my buddy and I nailed at Agua Caliente. And then about a year later, we saw him running in a cheap claiming race, as you would imagine, at Santa Anita. And we had I was supposed to go back to work. I was working an afternoon shift at a newspaper. We came in at like 4 o'clock, so we were out there at Santa Anita, and we bet all of our money on King's Bishop. We left the track, and they used to give the stretch call of the race on the news radio stations.
Sure.
So we tune in to hear the call of the 7th race, which we had just left or whatever it was, and sure enough, by the shortest of noses, King's Bishop wins at 30-1. So we had no money on us after leaving the track, and we actually turned right around on the highway there in Los Angeles and ran back to the track to cash the tickets. And then I went to work and came in 2 hours late. I told them I had a scoop on a story there, and
Beautiful.
fortunately they believed me, so that was great. All right, here we go. Next set of questions coming up. Dave Gurggles Gergely, and this might be this is going to be the last player. So we'll see.
All right, golf. This comedian on golf etiquette recounted, I played golf. I did not get a hole-in-one, but I did hit a guy. You're supposed to yell 4, but I was too busy yelling, there ain't no freaking way that's going to hit him. What's that? Mitch Hedberg, Anita Ekberg, Ryan Sandberg, or Ryan Dorn?
All right, rolling a scrambler. This is always encouraging. Are you still in intensive care, Andy? You're up next on the trivia challenge.
Yeah, I caught pneumonia while I'm in it.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. What else can happen to this guy?
But
You're fucking indestructible.
Shipping me over to Finger Lakes. I'm running the 3 kilometers this week.
From Canandaigua, New York. Ross Martin on the caller. All right, Andy has 1 point. He's in the game.
I got 8.
Good job, sir.
Are the nurses gathered around there? Doctors? Are they monitoring your performance on the show here?
No, actually, just me and my roommate who just had surgery. Oh, there's Jenny. You want to be on the radio? You want to be on the radio? Hey, you want to be on the radio? I'm on a show right now.
Give her the true false question.
There's something.
All right, here's the
Andy,
true false
true
question.
false NBA.
Hello, hello.
Hello, young lady. Remember last time Andy was in the hospital, he took a turn for the nurse. All right, anyway. NBA, believe it or not, in a contest for the Milwaukee team in 1967, Bucks wasn't the winning answer. The original winning overall vote by the fans was Milwaukee Robins. True or false?
The Milwaukee Robins. I'll go with true.
Sounds like
It
it
is
could be
true.
true. All right.
Robin is the state bird of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
2 for 2, Andy. Going for 5.
Hey, I'm in the finals already.
You're already in the finals.
You
Yeah,
have to think, yes.
you are.
We
All
don't
right,
want
Andy.
this to be anticlimactic, though, the next 2 answers.
Baseball. Who was the first
You guys
player
want to
in
be in the
modern
finals?
baseball?
You can keep the good certificate.
No, I give your guys them.
Baseball. Who was the first player in modern baseball history to hit 2 inside the park home runs in the same game?
Chuck Carr.
Was that Al Kaline,
Yeah,
Joe
exactly.
Morgan, Roberto Clemente, or Dick Allen?
It wasn't Juan Pierre.
Go with Clemente.
Roberto. No.
No, believe it or not, Dick Allen did it off Bert Blyleven in Minnesota when he was with the White Sox.
You wouldn't expect him to have that kind of speed, but big guy he was. Going for 7 here, Andy.
Yeah, take the lead.
All right, Andy. NFL. Who became the first and I think still the only player to register 3 touchdown receptions in an AFC wildcard game? Could that have been Dave Stallworth, Lance Rensel, Andre Reed, or Phil McConkey?
Did you say Dave Stallworth was the first guy?
Yeah. No, I meant I meant the other one.
John? Did you mean John Stallworth?
Stallworth.
Might have had 14. He might have had 14 rebounds.
Right, I meant the other Stallworth. Sorry. My secretary
John
copied it
Stallworth.
wrong.
What's that?
So is that your
John
answer?
Stallworth.
That's the answer.
Going
Bill?
with Stallworth.
No,
Are you going with him?
no. I'm going Andre Reed.
Andre. There it is.
41-38 over the Raiders.
Certainly, if they're measuring and monitoring your mental sharpness, this would prove that they should release you today from this hospital stay. All right, Andy's going to be in the finals here, so you stay right there, Andy. Lubie's going to dig up Lenny, which, I mean, we hope you don't have to say that in reverse. We're hoping for the best for Andy, our good friend, dear friend, and long-time listener, and not anywhere near a first-time caller. Gergs, Perdomo Cigars again.
One more time. Folks, you're saying, you're scrambling. What can I get my boss? What can I get my husband, my wife, my uncle, my grandfather? Perdomo Cigars. You can drive right up 5150 Northwest 167th Street, right on the east side, actually the south side of the Palmetto, just a little east of the Home Depot. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They'll probably be open Monday and Tuesday next week with abbreviated hours, but call them, 305-627-6700. Buy the 5-pack of variety cigars. Buy a box for somebody you really love, a humidor if they've got everything, or just a gift card so they can shop for themselves. Perdomo Cigars, number one cigar on this show for over 25 years. So tonight, or that's tomorrow night, when the Florida Gators cover that 8 points I think I laid, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
All right, we're ready for the finals here. Lenny, who just recently had successful response to some sort of treatment as he was visiting like the Mayo Clinic every day, and Andy, who's in intensive care. So there's a hospital theme to this show. So Dave's going to fire up the question. Call out your name if you'd like to answer right away. Nobody answers right away. Offer multiple choice. First person to call his name gets first choice. We go back and forth till we have a winner for the championship and the gift certificate. And in Andy's case, if he wins, let's bring him some liver and onions or something from Landlubbers there or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever he fancies. It's got to be better than the hospital food. Here we go. Good luck, gentlemen.
This is the best hospital food I've had so far.
Oh, yeah. Nice, man. Schedule a video appearance on the Mayo Lunch.
There you go.
All right, good luck, guys. The winner gets your choice of green or orange Jello for dessert when you're there.
There you go. Okay. And you get the little cherry piece inside the Jello.
All right, guys, here's your bonus question. Let's take you back in television sports history. We want to know who was the first ever baseball player to appear on What's My Line?
Oh, good question. Anybody? Here's multiple choice.
Was that Chuck Dressen, Willie Mays, Roy Campanella, or Phil Rizzuto?
I'll go with Andy. I'll go with Willie Mays.
Mays.
No.
Andy, of course, Lenny lets him go first. His strategy.
The chronic, yeah.
Lenny, was it Chuck Dressen, Roy Campanella, or Phil Rizzuto?
Go Roy Campanella.
That's what I would have said.
No.
Incorrect. Wow.
Was it Chuck Dressen or Phil Rizzuto?
Andy?
Go with Chuck Dressen.
Yeah.
Backdoor for Lenny. Phil Rizzuto, after he won the Hitchcock Award in 1950, appeared on What's My Line?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Very good. Lenny.
All right.
Like a champ.
Congratulations, Lenny.
Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everybody, and a healthy New Year. We'll see you, I guess, next year. We're not on next Thursday.
Yeah, we're
Next
probably not
Thursday's
the next
past the
2
roof.
Thursdays, right?
And the Thursday after New Year's, you let me know, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing either of
Okay,
those.
yeah,
Okay.
I think we're going to scrub a couple of weeks.
Beautiful. That's
Just
no
do a couple
problem
of
for
shows.
me.
Yeah.
Some vacays.
All right, very good. So
Give it to me.
happy and healthy Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
All of it.
Always a pleasure, and we'll continue doing this in 2025. All right, we have to get out of here. Thanks so much for Mike Lubie Lubitz, Dave Gurggles Gergely, and thank you for all of our players for coming through today. And whatever you think about Mario Cristobal, we still love you. And that was just weird. I mean, you're right about that. In our past history with Dave was that he was. I don't want to say he was an apologist, but
Yes.
you're right. He was arguing with you about Manny Diaz a couple of times.
He waits till they're gone, then he hates them and moves on to the next. And look, it's part of being a fan. I'm just never been that fan. Like, I'm not an apologist. Like, I defended Norvell when things were going well, and when things fell apart this year, I was not. Like, I don't know why. Like, you can admit that guys have issues, and Cristobal.
Brain dead decisions by coaches are inexcusable. They just are. This is your job. Is naturally it entails many other components, as does any job. Right? I mean, it's not like you don't have to do some other things to get ready to perform on streaming shows or radio shows, TV shows. There's some preparation involved, not necessarily in our case, as evidenced by the content of these shows, but nonetheless, there's more to it. a lot of elements in being a good coach, but the most important element should be being a good game day coach. No,
Yes.
being a guy that, like your quarterback, like your left tackle, is performing on game day in the capacity that you're supposed to, and decision making is really is that not the key to being a coach on game day?
Yes.
When you're making terrible just outrageously dumb decisions that not even your husky dog, what's the name of the dog, Libby?
Wolf. My dog's
Yeah, Wolf. I mean, if Skippy can make this, better decisions than your head coach at $8 million a year, just by putting a paw on one side or the other, it's inexcusable to me. I mean, it's a mark of somebody that you could never consider to be a great coach.
And you don't see improvement. The players don't improve. His players actually
No.
go backwards. Like Cam Ward. And people are like, well, look at Ward. Ward was a top 10 quarterback. He was a top 2 to 3 quarterback in the portal. He was going to be a top 3 round pick. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
He moved up into a clear first round pick this year, and he was a Heisman candidate. Well, think about it. Remember that Pac-12, the last year it existed? Wasn't it one of the toughest conferences we've ever seen? Didn't they have like the entire conference was ranked at some point that season? What about this year? The ACC was one of the worst conferences we've ever seen. And the only 3 good teams that the ACC had, Miami didn't play any of them. Well, maybe that attributed to Cam Ward's vast difference, because it felt like people who watched Cam Ward in Washington State saw the same fucking guy at UM. He just had the circumstances, and also UM clearly has better talent than Washington State. So again, in the 1 year he was there, I don't think Cristobal or Shannon Dawson had anything to do with Cam Ward's growth. I think Cam Ward was
he was a polished product ready to go.
He's already that guy. That's who he was. He just had better circumstances. And UM is a much more national program than Washington State.
Sure. And usually gifted with speed, because that was always a component that, and the element that Jimmy Johnson was so fond of. And recruiting here was largely based on these players that had blinding speed. And we've seen that be a factor for the Hurricanes through the years, whether they were good or bad. They usually had fast players.
Yes.
Seminoles, same thing. I mean, had the same type of players. All right, we have to get out of here. Enough of this debate. I don't know that I even want to mention Mary Cristobal. Let's have a moratorium on any Cristobal mentions.
It's fine with me.
Although we will have to analyze his loss in the ballgame to Iowa. What dumb fucking decision will he make there that'll cost the Canes any chance they had of winning? If he wins that game, then we owe him an apology.
I don't give him credit. Look, I've given them credit where it's due. It's just I'm not going to lie to myself because
no, I mean, but when you're talking, I mean the discussion I was bringing up was that coaches that make really outrageously bad decisions, that needs to be something they're held accountable for.
Yes, you think.
And if you're not going to hold him accountable, and you're just going to go, oh, well, they won 4 more games than they did when he first took over the team. That just means he did a lousy job the first year. No?
Yeah, exactly. Why they win?
We're going to credit him with playing a weak schedule and sustaining 2 losses, missing a 12-team college football playoff format, not getting to the ACC title game again, and having to settle for the Pop-Tarts ball. Get the fuck out of here. I do love Dave Lamont, though. I
love him. He knows his stuff. We enjoy talking to him.
He's authoritative. He's very talented.
Look, when we talk to Ian, a lot of these guys will defend coaches, and I get it. I get it's not an easy job, and people like me run him out of town way too easily. I'm not fighting that. But you can also take a guy's track record, and it's okay to do that.
And he points out something interesting, because we overlooked that Herschel Walker is now the ambassador to the Bahamas. And oddly, and he's saying when he breaks out of the hospital there, which he may have to go down the back stairway under disguise, but he's going to head for the Bahamas. And oddly, the Mustang just sent me a 5-day freebie overnight stay at Atlantis.
Ooh, good for you.
I don't know how good it is for me. I mean, the last time I was there, I broke my fucking toe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's where you hurt yourself.
Oh, that was brutal.
Oh, shit, I forgot that's where you hurt yourself.
I mean, should there not be some kind of warning? Watch out for these rocks. You can't see them, but they're right there 2 feet off the shore.
I forgot you went to it.
Oh, that was brutal, man. I'm surprised it wasn't worse. All right. And I feel pretty comfortable. Look, I run in the ocean unabashedly almost any opportunity I get.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's not like I'm inclined to injure myself. I mean, still like riding waves. If you could find a wave that you could ride here in South Florida, which is people think they every now and then you'll see a guy actually catch like a very faint semblance of a surfing ride out here on the beach. And does anybody ever catch a fish off the shore?
No.
Libby. All the times you see these guys with these elaborate setups and they
I think
put
that's
the ball
stupid.
in there and they got bait and they got all this shit and they're,
You got to go a little bit out.
you know, they got a huge tackle box and they wheel the thing on in a shopping cart and no one ever catches shit.
No,
Right.
not that close.
Amazing. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody. We'll join you later today. Gilbert's.
Gilbert's.
Yeah, that's always a good spot.
For an onslaught. Yep.
Yeah, they put out too much food there.
I
as
know,
they
I'm-
did at Luke's.
Well,
Well, in a way, I'm glad I missed that because I
Luke's
would have
tradition.
eaten like I was going to the chair.
Well, Luke's more judicious. Like Gilbert just brings out. Like,
Oh no, Lenore's crazy. I mean, in a good way. And then they start with the desserts. I mean,
they just bring out. I actually eat less there because there's so much there. I don't know what the fuck to do.
you know, and she's like, well, we don't have any ribs out here. It's like,
It's like, where do you want to put the
I've
ribs?
got fat, you know, just exuding, blubber from all of my ribs right now. What are you talking about? All right, see you next time as we leave it on that.
The time.
9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my